There are quite a few small little details that I just was not aware of before we bought this brand new Jeep Wrangler Rubicon 2-door JL until we got it home, and my wife had had it for a little while. So I'm going to share all those little details along with all the other specs about this brand new Jeep with you here today. Stay tuned. Welcome to TrailRecon. I'm Brad, and today on this episode, I'm really excited to share with you my wife's brand new 2018 Jeep Wrangler Rubicon JL. That's right, a 2-door in the color Hella Yella. You cannot miss this thing coming down the trail. It is so bright, and we have come to love the color and really just come to love this new generation of Jeep. There's so many great upgrades that we're going to talk about here in this video today. We're going to walk around the outside, talk about some of the specs, and then hop inside, and I'm going to show you all kinds of stuff in there that I didn't even realize until we have been driving it for a little while. It's a great little Jeep, and I love the capabilities of this, and my wife is so happy driving this new Jeep. We did not special order this. We were looking online for a while, just kind of casually, but she knew she wanted a 2-door and she wanted yellow, and we saw it at the dealer. We called them up, we said we want to come test drive it, and we fell in love, and so we bought it as is. So there's a couple things on here that we're going to modify. Well, there's a lot of things that we're going to modify, but there's a couple things that we would have liked to have gotten from the factory that we didn't because we didn't order it. But I'll talk about those along the way. But let's start talking about some of the specs of this little 2-door. So this being the 2-door model means we've got a lot less storage and passenger room than the 4-door model. But the good news is that the JL versus the previous generation JK got a little bit bigger. We're 2.5 inches longer, and they've extended the wheelbase 1.4 inches. The approach and departure angles have also been increased, but that's because of bigger tires, and we're sitting up a little bit taller. And the really great news is we weigh less than the previous generation JK model, all in part to some aluminum doors and some other lightweight components, which I will say makes a little bit of a difference when you step on that gas. We're a little more peppier because we're a little bit lighter. Moving over to the front of the Jeep, I will say I really love the new styling look. You know, it's a throwback to the old generation of Jeep where we've got a taller grille opening, which now have these nice little inserts which are going to help protect that radiator. And the headlight bulges into those grille openings, which is just a really nice look. Now, there is a little bit of a curvature to the grille, but I think that's to help with the aerodynamics. But I love the new front look of the grille. Now, I mentioned that we did not special order this Jeep, so this one came with the halogen headlights and fog lights, and if you follow on the channel for a while, you'll know I'll be adding all kinds of off-road lights on this thing for when we're out on the trail at night. But what I do like about these little halogens is they've got some nice little details. The little Jeep grille right there in the center I think is very, very cool. And also something new for this model is the integrated turn signal into the fender, and there's actually a daytime running light in there, which is a nice little safety feature. This Jeep came with plastic bumpers. I'm a big fan of plastic, but I'll be adding some steel bumpers with a winch because you never know when you're going to need to get yourself or somebody else unstuck out on the trail. Now, moving up to the hood, I will say I really like the new styling look. It's a little bit of the JK's Hard Rock edition where you've got the louvers in the hood, and they've got the new pads here for if you want to lay down the windshield, which we haven't done yet. That's something I need to do, but they're integrated with the windshield washer. Jeep has also upgraded the latches here. They're much stronger than the old ones. I'm very happy they made that. I love the design of the Rubicon decal. It's that flat black with the red around it. I think it's a really cool look. My only criticism about the hood is where the windshield wipers are, that little cowl section. It's black plastic. I would have really liked to have had that been painted, color matched. I'm not a big fan of plastic, but otherwise, I'm really happy with the front new look of this new model of Jeep. Let's pop the hood and I will show you the engine and options we got. And let me just say there's a little quirkiness here because when I first opened the hood, I was trying to grab where's the little mount to hold the hood up, and lo and behold, they put it up here this time. So That's different. It took me a minute to figure that one out. But we got the 3.6 liter Pentastar motor, which has got 285 horsepower and 260 pound-feet of torque, which throws this Jeep down the road really nice. And this motor has been around for several years, so it's become very dependable on-road and off-road. And now paired with that 8-speed transmission, which is the option we got on this one, it's really smooth. I'm really happy with it. And gas mileage, we've been getting about 20, which is about what they expect. You know, 17 on the city and 25 on the highway. You know, we haven't done any long highway road trips with this Jeep yet, so I'm sure that gas mileage will improve when we start doing that. Now also, down underneath with the Rubicon, you get that Rock Track 4-to-1 transfer case, which is a great transfer case when you're out hitting the trail and you want to go crawl and do some obstacles. It's a great setup. Also in here, we've got the 240 amp alternator, which is an option, and I'm glad it came with that because we'll be adding several accessories and we'll need that little extra power. And also to mention is the steering is now electric and hydraulic, so it's a combination, and I'll say it handles really nice down the road. It's a great setup, and I'm really happy with the whole combination. I think this is going to serve us well for a long time to come. So moving over to the side of the Jeep, you can see now we've got the Jeep badge on the side, and we've got these louvers here right on the other side of the fender which allow that air to flow, which also helps to reduce that hood flutter that we got from the previous generation. Now my wife was very insistent that she wanted the paint matched fenders and top, and I think it's a really beautiful look. Now sliding down here, let's talk about the important stuff, tires. So these are a 33-inch BFG KO2 all-terrain, and I love these tires. I'm running them in a 37-inch on my Jeep, and I have been very happy with their performance on-road and off-road. Suspension underneath has been beefed up. That was one of the things I noticed right away when I saw the stock components. They're definitely a lot beefier, and the axles are a new generation of axle, and they're supposed to be stronger, and they also have what's called a front axle disconnect, which allows the front axle to be disconnected and the tires to spin freely, which is supposed to help with the gas mileage. Now, the front axle disconnects have been on the Ram trucks for a few years now, so I think dependability is going to be right where it needs to be. I don't think we're going to see any problems. But I'll tell you, this whole tire and suspension combination on the road has been great. My wife is very happy with how it drives. I mean, it drives like a Jeep, but it's a lot smoother than mine used to be. And handling on the trail, well, you're just going to have to subscribe to the channel so you can see our adventures when we take this off-road. I think this is going to be a very, very capable setup just in stock form. I mean, it's a Rubicon after all. The Rubicon model also comes with rock sliders as standard, and I'll tell you, on my other Jeep, I have put those things to the test many times and they have held up really well. And underneath, there's an assortment of skid plates, but I think I'll be adding a few more extra protection items under there because having some good Under Armour is never a bad idea. On the rear of the Jeep, there's been some really nice changes and upgrades here. I'll start by saying we've got a fuel filler door, so no more open gas cap anymore. It doesn't lock, but it's still nice to have that. The tail lights have been a little more modernized, and we did get the optional blind spot detection system, which is integrated into the tail light. Now the bumper, again, it's plastic, but we do have the backup sensors, and I like the fact that they have relocated the license plate into the bumper. It's no longer part of the body. We have a camera, backup camera that's built into the tire. And I'll say the backup camera is really crystal clear. It's been a nice little feature. My wife loves having that. The tire carrier has been reinforced, and if we decide to go bigger tires, we can actually adjust the tail light to go up or down to accommodate the larger tires. That's a nice upgrade. And this is equipped with a trailer hitch tow package, and we can tow up to 2,000 pounds with this system. And of course, we've got the red Rubicon recovery hooks. And on the handle here, you've got the electronic lock that makes getting in and out really easy with the key fob, which I'll show you the key fob here in a minute, but let's open up the back of the Jeep. Now, one thing I want to add is this tailgate has been reinforced. It's much stronger than the old one. So putting a larger tire on here, this is going to hold up much, much better. It's thicker metal and it's got a stronger hinge. And the tailgate now comes with this big plastic piece on here that's got these little louvers on here where you can attach stuff, and I think we'll be adding a table to this here in the future. This is a two-door, right? So a two-door does not have all the storage room that a four-door has, but I'll say it's got a little bit more than the previous generation. I was actually surprised when we opened this up. I was like, that's not too terrible. Now, they integrated the speaker, and we have the 9-speaker Alpine system, which I'll show you when we get in the front, into the floor. That's not on the side like it is on the four-door model, which is nice because that adds a little bit of extra storage space. But the great thing is that dropping this seat, it's a single handle to do it. Throw that down, you can lay it flat, or you can kick it all the way back up, and then you get a ton of room. Our boys are older, so we won't be having a whole lot of passengers in the rear, but I'll show you leg room and stuff here in a minute. The other nice thing I like is there's a 12-volt DC connection here, which is really nice. You know, I did a little modifications on my Jeep just so I could get power back here, but having that standard, that's a nice feature. I'm glad they did that. And of course, we've got all the typical tie-down hooks and all that kind of stuff. And you've got the color-matched roll bars. Very happy with the rear. It's gonna meet our needs perfectly. Let's hop inside. Now, before we hop into the Jeep, there's two things I want to mention, and one is this big old massive key fob. Now, this thing is so big and bulky in your pocket, but it's got some nice functionality. One, this Jeep's equipped with remote start and stop. So check this out. A double click, get a little honk, the Jeep starts right up, which is really nice. And we can shut that off here as well, just 2 clicks, and it'll shut down. So if it's a hot day, you want to turn that air conditioner on, or it's a cold day, you want to turn that heater on. That's a nice little luxury item. Also, what's really cool is if the Jeep is locked and you walk up, it automatically unlocks the door. And you can set it to unlock either just the driver's door or all the doors, which is really nice because, you know, oftentimes my wife's got, you know, purses and laptops and groceries and hands full. She doesn't want to fumble with that key fob. She just walks right up, opens the door. That's a nice little technical item I think is really cool. The second thing I want to talk about is these doors. I mentioned that Jeep shaved the weight off of this model Jeep, and they did that a little bit through these aluminum doors, which are really nice. And the handle in here that makes taking these on and off much easier, and they weigh a lot less, so it's easy to do. But the other thing that I really love that I wish I had in my Jeep is these doors now have a catch. So, you know, previously if you would park on a decline, the Jeep door would just slam on you. Well, these don't do that. These hold open. Look at that. Isn't that great? How nice is that? No more doors just slamming, opening, and close. A very, very nice touch. Now, let's hop inside. Let me show you some of the cool features inside. The first thing I should mention in the interior is me. I'm 6'2", and I have got all kinds of headroom and leg room, and these seats are really comfortable. Now, we got the leather seats, which for my wife was necessary, but they're really a beautiful seat. They got the red stitching in there, and they're really comfortable, and they hold you really firm. But what I really like is when I'm off-road, I like to sit up pretty high. This seat, it goes up a lot higher than the previous generation. At least it feels like it, because I can get way up here and see well over the hood, which if you're out on the rocks is really nice. I should probably come back down though, huh? Now, the new layout of the interior still has that, you know, kind of classic Jeep look, but it's got a lot more technology and a little more modernization. Now, you got the door locks and the mirror adjustment over here on the door. It's no longer on the center console. And you've got your, you know, electronic locks here, and you've also got the manual one, which is a little different. It's kind of neat how they've integrated that into the door handle. The overall dash layout, the only complaint is my wife says she would like to have different size knobs, because sometimes she reaches down and she's not sure what knob she's got. I think that's just about getting a little more used to it. Now, this one is a push button start and stop. The dash, you've got the 2 analog gauges, your RPMs and your miles per hour. But then in the center, you've got a lot of variation for how you can customize that digital display, and it looks really crisp. I haven't had any issues with visibility in, you know, bright sun or anything like that. It's very well designed. The steering wheel is very comfortable, and I like the new modern look of it and the red stitching. I like that the, you know, audio controls are still kind of on the back, because that's just something I'm used to, but I'm very happy with the design of the steering wheel. It feels very good and comfortable in the hand. The dash is very nicely laid out, and you've got this stitching on there, and you've got this little cubby up here. We'll be adding probably some kind of phone mount, I think. That's the only thing we really like to have, is just a nice place to put the phone. Now, this has the upgraded Alpine 9-speaker system. And I love the stereo. And the screen is a very large screen, and we've got all kinds of options on here. A lot of different things you can play with. You know, we've got standard, which is the Sirius XM. You've got all kinds of media options. You've got a little media port here for auxiliary and USB, USB-C. You've got your climate control. You can adjust electronically or you can adjust it manually. There's all kinds of apps, and there's one app that I think is really cool to have on the Jeep, and it's called Off-Road Pages. So you click on that Off-Road Pages. It takes a second to load, but it really is a very cool feature. I'm so glad to see these kind of functions on a Jeep. Now, the first thing you'll notice here is it tells us if the sway bar is connected. It tells us axle lock or unlocked. And then we've got some accessory gauges, which tells us coolant temp, oil temp, battery, trans temp, oil pressure. That's a really cool thing. But it also tells us our GPS and our altitude. But then I like this one right here, which is, you know, your pitch and roll. That's just one of those things that I think is really cool when you're off-road. I'll probably have that on quite a bit just because I think it's cool. I mean, it's a little two-door Jeep on there. How nice is that? Off-road Pages is a very cool option. A lot of cool other features on here, and there's a lot to talk about. But the other thing I want to mention is the navigation is really easy to use, and I'm very happy with that. You know, I've used some other navigation systems that were a bit quirky. I'm really happy with the Jeep one. It does really well. Also have the full phone integration, so my wife's phone is connected and she can listen to everything straight through Bluetooth. Moving down below, you've got all your controls for your volume, tuner, your climate controls, which you've got dual side climate control, which in a Jeep, do you really need dual climate control? I don't know, it's got it. We do have a mute button, which that's a nice feature. Now the auto start and stop. Okay, let's talk about that for a second. So when we come to a stop, this Jeep shuts off because it's saving gas, which here in California is very nice, but it's still a little weird getting used to that. You know, when you come to a stop and the Jeep just shuts off, I don't know, it's just not, I know that a lot of the cars do that nowadays. I don't know, maybe it's something I'll get used to, but it's nice to be able to shut that off, although we haven't because California gas prices are ridiculous. Traction control on and off. We can turn the parking sensors off and also the hill descent, and you can turn the screen off, which that's a nice little feature. We've also got another 12-volt DC connector down here, and you've got the window up and down. And you have auto down, but you don't have auto up. I would like to have an auto up feature, but I don't have any complaints about how laid out the windows are. I know that bothers a couple folks. Then down below is where we get into the meat and the potatoes. This is a Rubicon, so we have front and rear differential lockers, and I'm really happy with the way that this is laid out. You know, you just press it down and press it up, and you can lock and unlock those, and then a little button there to disconnect your sway bar, which is highly recommended when you're going off-roading and getting that articulation. This model came with the auxiliary buttons, so we've got 4 auxiliary buttons here in the center console, and we'll be attaching some stuff to that here very quick. I'm nice to have that. I don't know if 4 is going to be enough, so we may have to figure something out down the road. And moving on down, you've got the shift lever, which has got the very cool 2-door looking historical Jeep logo on it. The shift's really nice. My wife does have a complaint though. She says it's a little too smooth. She would like it to click a little more so she knew right where she was at without having to look down. Also, now instead of just flipping it back and forth like on the previous models, you can actually just put it in manual and then it's up and down to upshift and downshift. Before you just had it in drive and just kind of brought it back and forth. The gear lever for shifting into 4 high and 4 low, it's very accessible. It's a great position and haven't had any problems doing that. The cup holder is really nice. I like that they've added these little kind of, I don't know, they're rubber little feet on there that kind of give you option to having a bigger bottle or a smaller bottle. It just kind of snugs them in there really well. And then now what I like is something I didn't know. You know, on my Jeep, there's 2 little handles to open this, the cubby, and I can never remember which one is which to open the top and the bottom. Well, they finally decided that there's one lever for the top and there's one lever for the bottom. That makes it really easy. And also there's a little LED inside there, which is a really nice touch. Plus we've still got a USB port in there. A nice little storage here if you want to put something in there. There's some rubber in there to keep things from sliding around. But I'm really happy. I know it's a little things like that, but just having a top latch and a bottom latch, yeah, that's pretty cool. All right. Also up here, we've got this SOS button, and that's a nice little feature. If we get ourselves in a situation where we need to be rescued, we can just hit that little SOS. Also integrated is the little home kit where you can set your garage door opener, which is a very nice feature. I kind of wish my Jeep had that, although I don't get to park in the garage anymore. My wife has taken that up. Of course, we've got the Freedom Tops on this Jeep, and the Freedom Top latches are a little bit different than the other model, but they're still just as easy to take off and on, and it came with a bag to store these in, but I'm excited to take this top off, completely take the doors off and go cruising around on the trail here very soon. I think, oh, one other thing, the glove box. This glove box is tiny compared to my other one, but you do get the Jeep toolkit, which comes with there, which helps you, drop the windshield and take the top off and all that kind of stuff, and take the doors off as well. So having that toolkit in there is really handy, but I would like a little bit larger glove box. Okay, let me hop in the back because I think you'll be very interested to see how much room there is back there. So being that this is a two-door, a tall guy like me has a little bit of a challenge climbing back here. The seats lay forward, but you've still got to, kind of bring your knee all the way up to your chest and slide in through there. But once you get back here, it's actually pretty comfortable. Now, one thing I really like is the headrests fold down, which makes it really nice because if you don't have any passengers, you can drop those down and you've got some great visibility. Popping those up and down is just with this little handle right here. So that's a nice little feature. And these are actually pretty comfortable chairs back here. And leg room, now I'm 6'2", is not awful. Now that seat is back pretty far. I could drive at the front right now, and I've actually got a little bit of leg room back here. Not much, it's pretty tough. I wouldn't want to do a cross-country trip, but riding around town or something, it's not that big a deal. Got plenty of shoulder room. Headroom isn't an issue. The speaker here is a little bit low, but you know what? I got no complaints. It's pretty nice back here. Plus, guess what? We've got some air vents in the rear. You're a passenger in the back of my Jeep. You're just stuck with whatever I can throw at you from the front. But back here, we've got some nice air vents. We've got a plug-in, so we can actually plug some stuff in back here. And we've got cup holders. Not too bad in the back of a two-door. One last item I want to talk about, and that is, this is the first generation of this model Jeep, and there have been several recalls that have come out already, and that's not uncommon with first-year model generation vehicles. The good news is that Jeep has been on top of getting things fixed, and we haven't been affected by any of those recalls, thankfully, but I'm sure if something does come up, Jeep will take care of it. No worries there. Look, we've got a lot of modifications that we have in store for this Jeep, and we're going to be taking it on some amazing adventures. If you're not subscribed to this channel, make sure you subscribe so you can follow along as we build this Jeep and take it out on the trail. I hope you've enjoyed this introduction to our 2018 Jeep Wrangler JL. Thanks for watching.